This channel supports 8-Bit Salute and Operation Supply Drop. Please help us raise money to help support our men and women in service throughout the world. Operation Supply Drop, making fun where there is none. What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Vegas, and going with the topical discussion videos. Last one ran a little longer than I wanted it to, but I'm getting back into the mode of doing these things, so let's just go ahead and proceed right along with the subject. So we got a bit of new footage, I guess, of the Titanfall 2 campaign. It was only a 30-second video. I'll try to remember to put the link in the description, but basically they tease some of what you'll experience in their single-player campaign that's coming. Now, original Titanfall got flack for not having a campaign. Personally, I think that flack came from the fact that the multiplayer didn't live up to excuse me, it didn't live up to what a lot of people expected from it or were hoping to get from it. Therefore, the idea of the single player campaign not being there became a big problem. Now, I could say for myself, being someone who's not a huge multiplayer person, yeah, it was a little bothersome, not because there wasn't a single player campaign per se, but because their idea of a campaign had you play basically multiplayer matches with different people. But that whole campaign, quote unquote, was only able to move forward if you were able to link up with people who were at the same stage that you were. 9 times out of 10, you wouldn't link up with those people, so you would jump all around the storyline that they had. I never got as far as the 4th piece of story, because once I would get there, I would get bumped back because there weren't enough people on the servers who were that far into the game. Mind you, I got it late on PC, so it could have been a case of, one, not enough players as people kind of had fell off of it pretty quickly, and 2, not enough people who were still trying to complete it. Maybe people had already completed it before. Maybe every time I would try to connect, I would just get thrown in with people who were just starting, and I would get pushed back. Regardless of what the circumstances was, I never got to finish this story, and it was very, very frustrating. I didn't think that that was a wise move for Respawn to do. Now, hopefully this time around, the campaign will not have any multiplayer connectivity to it, and you can just play it through. But you know, even without the real campaign, quote unquote, I didn't think Titanfall was a bad game. And part of me thinks that this whole idea that it needs a campaign only came about because the multiplayer wasn't as strong as a lot of people wanted it to be today. The reason I say that is because you'll notice, like, a lot of the more popular games which have multiplayer and which sit at the top of gamers' consciousness, such as Battlefield, Call of Duty, Halo, things like that, a lot of people will indulge in the multiplayer and not care. Now, I know Halo's fallen off, but that was just one example of a game where you could possibly say that people would dismiss the campaign. Actually, let's take Halo off that list, because that's probably the one game that had a super popular multiplayer where I think people really also cared about the campaign as well. I don't think that stands true though for games like Call of Duty and Battlefield. I think a lot of people will jump straight through to the multiplayer and may never even touch the campaign at all whatsoever. Now, had Titanfall, the original, brought an experience that got people as engaged as Call of Duty and Battlefield has for their communities, would the campaign be that big of a deal? And that's the question for this video. Is a campaign that big of a deal for a game that has multiplayer? Because I feel like there's a lot of games out there that a lot of people would care less or may not even know that it has a single player campaign because they're so into the multiplayer. Multiplayer is a big thing these days, and I just feel like the only reason why it became an issue with Titanfall was because the multiplayer didn't meet a lot of people's standards. Had it met a lot of people's standards, you may have never seen a campaign be introduced in this game, because for certain competitive multiplayer games, it seems like the campaign is just a waste of time, including, again, Battlefield and Call of Duty. But what do you think? Do you think multiplayer games that are popularized by their multiplayer component need a campaign, or do you think that campaign is still an important element of a game, especially if their multiplayer is seen as top notch? Do you think that regardless, every game should have single player, and that it's a failing if a game doesn't? Are you comfortable with the idea of a game just having multiplayer? If as long as the multiplayer satisfied you? Weigh in and let me know. Again, there will be a straw poll to get an opinion of what you feel. So feel free to click that link. Anyway, as always, you guys can hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. This your boy Black Megas, and I'm out. Deuces.